Hey everyone, I've got a story to share that's been weighing on my mind. It's a wild ride, full of betrayal, shocking twists, and unexpected turns. Buckle up, because this is a tale you won't believe. You know, there are moments in life when everything comes crashing down in the most spectacular way possible. For me, that moment happened one otherwise ordinary Tuesday evening. I'd been working late, as usual, trying to get ahead on a big project. I came home to find my wife, Lisa, on the phone. She quickly hung up when she saw me, but not before I heard a snippet of the conversation that sent chills down my spine. "Jake and I will take care of everything. The house will burn down with your husband inside, and you will get the insurance money." I froze in the hallway, my heart pounding in my chest. Had I really just heard what I thought I did? I waited, holding my breath, praying that it was some kind of sick joke. Then, Lisa's reply came, her voice disturbingly cheerful. "I can't wait for that to happen!" Without hesitation, I knew I had to act. The betrayal cut deep, not just because she was planning to kill me, but because she had been smiling, so damn happy about it. I slipped out of the house and drove around, my mind racing, trying to figure out what to do next. Over the next few days, I played the doting husband, hiding my growing rage behind a mask of normalcy. Lisa and I went out, had fun, and everything seemed perfect on the surface. Inside, I was a storm of emotions, plotting my revenge. The big revelation came when I overheard another conversation outside my office building. Lisa was on the phone with Jake, her supposed friend who I now knew was her affair partner. "Tomorrow night," she said, "we'll set the fire. I'll make sure he's in the house. Then we'll finally be together, and I'll get the insurance money." I couldn't believe my ears. Not only was she cheating on me, but she was planning to kill me with the help of her lover. The woman I had married, who I thought I knew so well, was a complete stranger to me. Lisa was always good at lying. She had a knack for twisting the truth, making me doubt myself, and turning every argument in her favor. But this time, she had gone too far. I decided then and there that I wouldn't let her get away with it. I started gathering evidence, recording her conversations, and documenting every suspicious thing she did. It was painful, pretending everything was fine while knowing what she was planning. But I needed to be smart about this. I needed a plan. I began to think about my next steps, how I could turn the tables on her and Jake. The thought of revenge was intoxicating, but I had to be careful. One wrong move and they could get away with it all. As I lay in bed that night, listening to Lisa's soft breathing beside me, I felt a surge of determination. I would make sure they paid for what they were planning. They wouldn't see it coming, and when it happened, it would be glorious. I was ready to play the long game, to act the loving husband while plotting my revenge. The days ahead would be challenging, but I was prepared. They wanted to burn me down, but little did they know I was ready to rise from the ashes and take them down with me. The next morning, I woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. The revelation of Lisa's plans had shifted something inside me, and I was no longer the naive husband she thought I was. I was determined to play the role perfectly, to lull her into a false sense of security until I was ready to strike. Lisa was in the kitchen, humming a tune as she made breakfast. It was almost sickening to watch how effortlessly she slipped into the role of the loving wife. I joined her, wrapping my arms around her waist and kissing her cheek. "Good morning, sweetheart," I said, forcing a smile. "What's for breakfast?" She smiled back, her eyes sparkling with deceit. "Pancakes, your favorite. I thought we could have a nice, relaxing day together." I nodded, playing along. That sounds perfect. I could use a break from all the work stress. As we sat down to eat, I couldn't help but wonder how long she had been planning this. Was it always Jake? Did she ever really love me, or was it all a facade? The questions gnawed at me, but I knew I had to keep my composure. Throughout the day, we went through the motions of a happy couple. We took a walk in the park, had lunch at our favorite cafe, and even caught a movie. All the while, I was hyper-aware of her every move, every word she spoke. She was good, I had to give her that, but I was better. That evening, I made an excuse to go out for a bit. I needed to gather my thoughts and finalize my plan. As I drove around aimlessly, I thought about the next steps. I had the recordings, the proof of her betrayal, but I needed more. I needed to ensure they would both go down for this. I decided to pay Jake a visit. I knew where he lived, thanks to the bits and pieces Lisa had mentioned over time. When I arrived, I parked a few houses down and walked the rest of the way. My heart was pounding in my chest, but I kept my cool. Jake answered the door, surprised to see me. "Hey man, what's up?" I forced a casual smile. "Hey Jake, I just needed someone to talk to. Things have been a bit rough lately." He nodded, letting me in. "Sure, come on in. What's going on?" As we sat down in his living room, I studied him. He was the picture of confidence, completely unaware of what I knew. We chatted for a bit and I slowly steered the conversation toward Lisa. I needed to gauge how much he knew, how involved he was. "Lisa's been acting a bit strange lately," I said, feigning concern. "Do you know if she's been under any stress or anything?" Jake hesitated for a moment before shaking his head. "Not that I know of. She's probably just busy with work and stuff." I nodded, playing along. "Yeah, you're probably right. It's just, sometimes I feel like there's something she's not telling me." He shrugged, clearly uncomfortable. "You know how women are, always keeping things to themselves." I laughed, though it took every ounce of strength not to punch him right then and there. "Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, thanks for listening, man. I appreciate it." As I left his house, I knew I had to act fast. They were planning to set the house on fire the next night, and I needed to be ready. I spent the rest of the evening making preparations, setting up hidden cameras, and ensuring I had everything I needed to catch them in the act. The next day was a blur. Lisa and I went about our day as usual, but I was on high alert, ready for anything. I could see the excitement in her eyes, the anticipation of finally getting rid of me. It was almost amusing how oblivious she was to the fact that her perfect plan was about to backfire spectacularly. As night fell, I knew the time had come. I pretended to be tired and went to bed early, making sure to leave the house unlocked. I lay there in the dark, waiting, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. It wasn't long before I heard the faint sound of footsteps and the whisper of voices. I stayed perfectly still, listening as they moved through the house, setting their trap. My pulse quickened as I heard Lisa's voice. "Are you sure he's asleep?" she whispered. "Yeah," Jake replied. "He's out cold. Let's do this." I waited until they were in the living room, then slipped out of bed and crept downstairs. They were so focused on their task that they didn't notice me. I recorded every moment, capturing their betrayal in all its glory. Finally, I stepped into the room, my phone in hand. "Going somewhere?" Their faces turned white, shock and fear replacing the smug confidence they had just moments before. Lisa's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water, while Jake stumbled over his words. What are you doing here?" Lisa stammered. I smiled, feeling a surge of satisfaction. "Just enjoying the show. You two are going to make a great story." The look on their faces was priceless. I felt a mix of satisfaction and fury bubbling inside me. Lisa's expression shifted from shock to rage in an instant. Jake looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. "How long?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. "How long have you two been planning this?" Lisa glared at me, her eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about, Mark?" I held up my phone, the screen showing the recording of their earlier conversation. "This! How long have you been planning to kill me and run off together?" Jake took a step back, clearly wanting no part of this confrontation. "Man, it's not what you think." I cut him off. "Save it, Jake. I know everything. Every single thing." Lisa's eyes darted to the door, and for a second I thought she might try to make a run for it. But instead she straightened up, her lips curling into a sneer. "Fine. You want to know? We've been planning this for months. You're always so busy with work you didn't even notice." My hands clenched into fists, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Why? Was it all about the money?" Lisa laughed, a cold, bitter sound. "Partly. But mostly because I can't stand you anymore, Mark. You're always working, never around. I found someone who actually pays attention to me." I looked at Jake, who was still inching towards the door. "And you? What's your excuse? Did you think you could just walk into my life, take my wife, and get away with it?" Jake shook his head, sweat dripping down his face. It wasn't supposed to be like this. It just happened. Lisa rolled her eyes. Oh, please, stop acting like the victim here, Jake. We both wanted this, and we were so close. My mind was racing. I had all the evidence I needed to expose them, but I wanted them to feel the weight of their betrayal first. You know, I said, leaning against the wall, I've always been a good husband to you, Lisa. I never once thought you would do something like this. She scoffed. Good husband? You think working late every night and ignoring me is being a good husband? I was working to provide for us, I snapped back, to give us a better life, but clearly that wasn't enough for you. Jake took another step back. Look, man, let's just forget this happened. We can all walk away. No harm done. I laughed, a harsh, humorless sound. No harm done. You tried to kill me, Jake. There's no walking away from this. Before they could react, I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. I have everything recorded, I said, my voice steady. You're both going to jail for this. Lisa's eyes widened with panic. Mark, wait. We can work something out, please. I shook my head. It's too late for that. You made your choice. The police arrived within minutes. Lisa and Jake were handcuffed and taken away, both of them still protesting their innocence. I watched as the lights of the police car disappeared down the street, a sense of finality settling over me. Inside the house, I looked around at the remnants of our life together. The pictures on the walls, the furniture we picked out together, everything felt like a lie. But I wasn't sad. I was relieved. Finally, I could move on, free from the deceit and betrayal. I sat down on the couch, taking a deep breath. This was just the beginning. There would be court cases, media attention, and endless questions. But I was ready for it. I had survived their betrayal, and now it was time to rebuild my life. The days following the arrest were a whirlwind of activity. The police took my statement, and I handed over the recordings. It was all the evidence they needed to charge Lisa and Jake with conspiracy to commit murder and attempted arson. I found myself facing a barrage of questions from friends, family, and co-workers. Everyone wanted to know what had happened, how I had found out, and why Lisa and Jake would do such a thing. The truth was painful to recount, but each time I told the story I felt a little stronger, a little more in control. The house felt different now, quieter, emptier. I spent the first few nights on the couch, unable to sleep in the bed I had shared with Lisa. Her betrayal was a wound that would take time to heal, but I was determined to move forward. One afternoon, about a week after the incident, I received a call from a lawyer representing Lisa. She wanted to meet, to discuss the terms of our separation and the impending divorce. I agreed, feeling a mix of dread and relief. It was time to put this chapter behind me. We met at a neutral location, a small conference room in a downtown office building. Lisa looked tired, her eyes shadowed with guilt and anger. Her lawyer, a sharp-looking woman in a tailored suit, nodded curtly at me as I took my seat. Thank you for coming, Mark, the lawyer began. We're here to discuss the terms of the divorce and any settlements that need to be addressed. I nodded, keeping my gaze fixed on Lisa. I'm only here to make sure this ends as quickly as possible. Lisa's voice was soft, almost pleading. Mark, I know you hate me, but I never meant for it to go this far. I got caught up in something I couldn't control. I clenched my jaw, struggling to keep my emotions in check. You were planning to kill me, Lisa. That's not something you just get caught up in. Her lawyer intervened. Our main concern is ensuring that both parties can move on from this as amicably as possible. Lisa has agreed to forfeit any claim to the house and will not contest the divorce. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was almost too easy. Fine, I'll keep the house, but I want it on record that Lisa and Jake are to have no contact with me, now or in the future. The lawyer nodded, making a note. Agreed. We'll also need to discuss the division of any joint assets and accounts. The meeting lasted another hour, but eventually, everything was settled. Lisa signed the papers with a shaking hand, her eyes never meeting mine. As I left the building, I felt a sense of closure. It wasn't over yet, but the worst was behind me. Over the next few weeks, I focused on rebuilding my life. I threw myself into work, spent time with friends, and even started seeing a therapist to help process the trauma. The nights were still difficult, but I was beginning to sleep better, little by little. One evening, I decided to clear out the last of Lisa's belongings. As I packed up her clothes and personal items, I came across a box of old photos. There we were, smiling and happy, oblivious to the future that awaited us. I felt a pang of sadness, but I knew it was time to let go. I donated most of her things, keeping only a few items that held no emotional weight. It was cathartic, a way to cleanse the house of her presence. I even painted the bedroom a new color, a fresh start in every sense. One night, as I was finishing up some work in my home office, my phone buzzed with a message. It was from an unknown number, but the words stopped me cold. "I hope you're happy. You ruined my life." It had to be Jake. I blocked the number immediately, not wanting to engage. He and Lisa had made their choices, and now they were facing the consequences. I wouldn't let them drag me back into their mess. As I stood by the window, looking out at the night sky, I felt a sense of peace. The storm had passed, and I had survived. There was still a long road ahead, but I was ready for whatever came next. Life took on a new rhythm after the divorce was finalized. The initial relief was quickly replaced by the need to fill the void left by Lisa's absence. I had spent so many years building a life with her, and now, with her gone, I had to rebuild everything from the ground up. Work became my sanctuary. I threw myself into projects, staying late at the office, and volunteering for new assignments. My colleagues noticed the change. Some offered their sympathy, while others admired my newfound dedication. It felt good to be productive, to have something to focus on other than the pain. But work wasn't enough. I knew I needed to reconnect with the world outside my office. I started attending social events, meeting old friends, and even joined a gym. The physical activity was a great outlet for my frustration and helped me clear my mind. One day, while at the gym, I met a woman named Emily. She was on the treadmill next to mine, and we struck up a conversation about workout routines. Emily was warm and friendly, with a bright smile that made me forget about my troubles, if only for a little while. As we got to know each other, I found myself opening up to her about my situation. It was strange, sharing my story with someone new, but Emily listened without judgment, offering a kind word here and there. "You're stronger than you think," she said one evening after we had finished a particularly grueling workout. "Most people would crumble under what you've been through, but you're still standing." Her words stuck with me. For so long, I had seen myself as a victim of Lisa's betrayal. But Emily helped me see that I was more than that. I was a survivor, and it was time to start living again. We began spending more time together outside the gym. We grabbed coffee, went for walks, and even saw a few movies. Emily was a breath of fresh air, a reminder that life could still be good, even after everything that had happened. One night, as we sat on a park bench, watching the sun set, she turned to me and said, "You know, you can't let your past define you. What happened with Lisa was awful, but it doesn't have to be the end of your story." I nodded, understanding what she meant. It's just hard to move on sometimes. The memories, the betrayal, it's all still so fresh. Emily took my hand, her touch gentle and reassuring. "I know, but you're not alone. You have people who care about you, who want to see you happy, and you have the power to create a new future for yourself." Her words were like a balm to my wounded heart. I realized that I had been so focused on what I had lost that I hadn't considered what I could gain. It was time to start looking forward, to start building a new life. In the weeks that followed, Emily and I grew closer. She became a constant presence in my life, a source of comfort and strength. We talked about everything, our dreams, our fears, our plans for the future. With her by my side, I began to see a path forward. I also started reconnecting with old hobbies and passions. I took up cooking again, experimenting with new recipes and flavors. I spent more time outdoors, hiking and exploring new trails. And I even picked up my guitar, strumming familiar chords that brought back memories of simpler times. One evening, as I played a soft melody, Emily sat across from me, her eyes closed, swaying gently to the music. The room was filled with a sense of peace, a stark contrast to the chaos of the past months. I realized then that I was starting to feel something I hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Hope for a future that was no longer defined by betrayal and pain. Hope for new beginnings, new experiences, and new love. Emily had helped me see that it was possible to heal, to move on, and to find happiness again. As we sat together, the music weaving around us, I knew that this was just the beginning. There would still be challenges ahead, but I was ready to face them. With Emily by my side and a renewed sense of purpose, I felt stronger than ever. Despite the newfound hope and budding relationship with Emily, the shadows of the past still loomed large. I knew that in order to truly move forward, I had to confront the remnants of my previous life with Lisa. There were still unresolved issues, and ignoring them wasn't an option. One day, I received a letter from Lisa. It was handwritten, the paper stained with tears. Against my better judgment, I opened it and began to read. Dear Mark, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness or even your attention after what I've done, but I need to explain myself, to tell you my side of the story. Please, just hear me out. As I read her words, I felt a mix of anger and sadness. Part of me wanted to throw the letter away, but another part was curious about what she had to say. I was lonely, Mark. You were always working, always busy, and I felt invisible. Jake made me feel seen, wanted. It started with innocent conversations, then flirting, and before I knew it, we were in too deep. I never meant for it to go this far. I was desperate, and I made terrible choices. She went on to detail her growing resentment, how she felt neglected, and how she convinced herself that what she was doing was justified. It was a painful read, but I couldn't stop. Her words peeled back layers of our marriage that I hadn't wanted to see. I know nothing I say can change what happened or make it right, but I need you to know that I am truly sorry. Not just for the affair, but for the plot to hurt you. That was Jake's idea, and I went along with it because I was scared and confused. I never wanted to harm you. I set the letter down, my mind swirling. Her words were filled with regret, but they also reminded me of the depth of her betrayal. I couldn't forget that she had been willing to go along with Jake's plan to kill me. There was no coming back from that. That evening I met Emily for dinner. We had become closer over the past few weeks, and she was my rock during this tumultuous time. As we sat down, I handed her the letter. I got this from Lisa today, I said, my voice heavy with emotion. I think you should read it. Emily took the letter, her eyes scanning the pages. When she finished, she looked up at me with a mixture of sympathy and determination. Mark, you know this doesn't change anything, right? Her reasons don't excuse what she did. I know, I replied, feeling a wave of gratitude for Emily's unwavering support. But I needed to hear it. I needed to understand why she did what she did. Emily reached across the table, taking my hand in hers. Understanding is one thing, but forgiving and moving on are another. You can't let her words pull you back into that darkness. I won't, I assured her. I just needed closure, and now I think I'm ready to fully let go. With Emily's help, I began to tie up the remaining loose ends of my past. I sold the house that held too many painful memories and found a new place to start fresh. It was a small but cozy apartment, perfect for a new beginning. One evening, as I was unpacking boxes in my new home, Emily came over with a bottle of wine. We sat on the floor, surrounded by half-opened boxes, and toasted to new beginnings. To moving forward, Emily said, her eyes sparkling with warmth. To new beginnings, I echoed, feeling a sense of peace that I hadn't felt in a long time. As the night went on, we talked about our dreams and plans for the future. Emily shared her passion for photography, and I talked about my love for music. We made plans to take a trip together, to explore new places and create new memories. The shadows of the past were still there, but they no longer held the power to control me. With each passing day, I felt stronger, more confident in my ability to build a new life. And with Emily by my side, I knew that anything was possible. As we sat together, the city lights twinkling outside the window, I realized that I was finally ready to embrace the future. The wounds of betrayal were healing, and in their place, new hope was taking root. Life seemed to be settling into a peaceful routine. Emily and I continued to grow closer, and my new apartment began to feel like home. However, life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. One Saturday afternoon, Emily and I decided to take a stroll through a nearby park. It was one of those perfect days where the sun was shining, and the air was just the right amount of crisp. We wandered around, enjoying each other's company and talking about everything and nothing. As we rounded a corner, I saw a familiar face. It was Jake. He was sitting on a bench, looking disheveled and lost in thought. My heart skipped a beat, but I kept my cool. He hadn't noticed us yet, and I debated whether to confront him or just walk away. Emily squeezed my hand, sensing my tension. "Mark, is that—" "Yes," I replied, my voice tight. "That's him." Before I could decide what to do, Jake looked up and our eyes met. For a moment, we both just stared at each other. Then, to my surprise, he stood up and walked over to us. "Mark, can we talk?" Jake's voice was hoarse, his eyes pleading. I felt a surge of anger, but Emily's calming presence grounded me. "What do you want, Jake?" "I'm sorry," he said, his voice cracking. "I've lost everything. Lisa, my job, my friends. I just wanted to tell you that." His words caught me off guard. I had expected defiance or excuses, not this broken shell of a man standing before me. "You brought this on yourself, Jake. You and Lisa both." "I know," he said, looking down at his feet. "I've been going to therapy, trying to understand why I did what I did. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I wanted you to know that I'm trying to make things right." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to lash out, to tell him that he deserved every bit of suffering he was experiencing. But another part of me, the part that was healing and moving on, felt a glimmer of pity. Emily stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. "Jake, it's good that you're seeking help, but you need to understand that Mark has moved on. You can't undo the past, but you can work on becoming a better person." Jake nodded, tears welling up in his eyes. "I understand. Thank you for listening. I'll leave you two alone." As he walked away, I felt a strange mix of emotions: anger, pity, relief. I turned to Emily, who was watching me with concern. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I think so," I replied, taking a deep breath. "It's just surreal, seeing him like that." We continued our walk, the encounter with Jake lingering in my mind. It was a reminder that the past, while painful, was something I had to face head-on if I wanted to truly move forward. A few days later, I received an unexpected phone call. It was from Lisa's lawyer, informing me that she wanted to meet and discuss some final details regarding the divorce. I hesitated, but agreed. It was another step towards closure. We met at the same downtown office. Lisa looked different, paler, thinner, her usual confidence replaced by a nervous energy. She fidgeted with her hands, avoiding eye contact as I sat down. "Mark, thank you for coming," she said softly. "What do you want, Lisa?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "I just wanted to apologize again," she began. "I know I've said it before, but I need you to understand how truly sorry I am. I've been seeing a therapist, trying to work through my issues. I never wanted to hurt you like this." Her words felt hollow, but there was a sincerity in her eyes that hadn't been there before. "I appreciate the apology, Lisa. But what's done is done. We both need to move on." She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "I know, I wanted you to know that I'm trying to be better, for whatever it's worth." "Good," I replied, standing up. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Lisa. Goodbye." As I walked out of the office, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. This meeting, along with the encounter with Jake, had given me the closure I needed. The past was behind me, and the future was mine to shape. That evening, Emily and I celebrated with a quiet dinner at home. We talked about our plans, our dreams, and the life we were building together. For the first time in a long while, I felt truly free. As we sat on the couch watching the city lights twinkle outside, Emily leaned her head on my shoulder. "You're amazing, you know that?" I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through me. "I couldn't have done it without you, Emily." We sat there in comfortable silence, the future bright and full of promise. The scars of the past were still there, but they no longer defined me. I was ready to embrace whatever came next, with Emily by my side. The following months were some of the most peaceful I had experienced in years. Emily and I continued to grow closer, and our bond became the cornerstone of my new life. The remnants of the past faded slowly but surely as we built new memories together. One weekend, we decided to take a trip to a small coastal town a few hours away. It was a place neither of us had been before, and we were excited to explore it together. The town was picturesque, with charming streets, cozy cafes, and a beautiful beach that stretched for miles. We spent our days wandering through the town, discovering little shops and hidden gems. Emily brought her camera, capturing the beauty of the place and the joy we felt being there together. At night, we would sit on the beach, watching the waves crash against the shore, feeling the cool breeze on our faces. One evening, as we sat on the sand, Emily turned to me, her eyes sparkling in the fading light. "Mark, I've never been happier than I am right now. Thank you for bringing me here." I smiled, wrapping an arm around her. "I feel the same way. This trip has been amazing, but it's you who makes everything special." We shared a quiet moment, the sound of the waves providing a soothing backdrop. I felt a surge of gratitude for having Emily in my life, for the love and support she had shown me through the darkest times. She had helped me find myself again, and I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the water, I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small box. Emily's eyes widened in surprise as I opened it to reveal a simple, elegant ring. "Emily," I began, my voice steady but filled with emotion. "You've brought so much joy and light into my life. You've helped me heal and shown me what true love feels like. I can't imagine my future without you. Will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes as she looked at the ring, then back at me. "Yes, Mark. 1,000 times, yes." We embraced, the world around us seeming to fade away. It was just the two of us, our hearts intertwined, ready to face whatever the future held together. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of excitement as we began planning our wedding. We decided to keep it small and intimate, inviting only our closest friends and family. It was a celebration of love, of new beginnings, and of the life we were building together. On the day of the wedding, the sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over everything. We exchanged vows on a cliff overlooking the ocean, the same spot where I had proposed. As I looked into Emily's eyes, I felt a sense of peace and fulfillment that I had never known before. "I promise to love you, support you, and cherish you for the rest of our lives," I said, my voice steady. "You are my rock, my confidant, and my best friend. I am so grateful to have you by my side." Emily smiled, her eyes shimmering with tears. "And I promise to stand by you through thick and thin, to share in your joys and sorrows, and to love you with all my heart. You have given me a love I never thought possible, and I can't wait to spend forever with you." We exchanged rings, sealing our vows with a kiss. The cheers of our friends and family filled the air as we walked back down the aisle, hand in hand, ready to embark on this new chapter together. Our honeymoon was a magical adventure, exploring new places and creating unforgettable memories. We traveled to a quiet village in Italy, wandered through the vineyards of France, and even took a hot air balloon ride over the Swiss Alps. Each moment was a testament to the love we shared and the future we were building. Returning home, we settled into our life together, filled with hope and excitement. Emily continued her photography, capturing the beauty of the world around us, while I found new inspiration in my work, driven by the happiness and stability she brought into my life. One evening, as we sat on the balcony of our apartment, watching the city lights twinkle below, Emily turned to me with a smile. "Mark, do you ever think about how far we've come?" I nodded, wrapping an arm around her, all the time. It's incredible how much has changed and how much better everything is now. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm so grateful for you, for us. I can't wait to see what the future holds. I kissed her forehead, feeling a deep sense of contentment. Me too, Emily. Me too. As we sat there, the stars shining above, I knew that this was just the beginning of our journey. The road ahead would undoubtedly have its challenges, but with Emily by my side, I felt ready to face anything. The scars of the past were fading, replaced by the love and joy we shared. Our story was no longer defined by betrayal and pain, but by resilience, hope, and the promise of a beautiful future together. Life was blissful after the wedding. Emily and I were deeply in love, and our bond grew stronger each day. However, as with any journey, ours was not without its hurdles. One day, I received a call from my lawyer. The charges against Lisa and Jake were moving forward, and the court dates were approaching. The thought of seeing them again stirred a mix of emotions within me: anger, anxiety, and a touch of dread. I knew that facing them in court would bring back painful memories, but it was a necessary step for justice and closure. Emily was incredibly supportive. She attended every court session with me, holding my hand and offering words of encouragement. The proceedings were grueling, but having her by my side made it bearable. Lisa and Jake looked markedly different, worn down by their actions and the legal battles. Their once confident demeanors were now replaced with regret and shame. During one of the sessions, Lisa took the stand. Her testimony was a mix of apologies and justifications, but it was clear she was trying to take responsibility for her actions. I know what I did was unforgivable, she said, her voice trembling. I was lost, and I made terrible choices. I just hope one day you can find it in your heart to forgive me, Mark. Her words washed over me, and while they didn't erase the pain, they provided a small sense of closure. When it was Jake's turn, he was less composed, often breaking down as he recounted the events. I don't expect forgiveness, he said, tears streaming down his face. I just want you to know how deeply sorry I am for everything. The court eventually reached a verdict. Both Lisa and Jake received sentences that reflected the severity of their crimes, though they were given opportunities for rehabilitation. As they were led away, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Justice had been served, and it was time to truly move forward. With the court case behind us, Emily and I focused on our future. We decided to take a trip back to the coastal town where we had gotten engaged, a place that had become a symbol of our new beginning. The familiar sights and sounds brought back memories of our early days together, filling us with a renewed sense of joy. One evening, as we walked along the beach, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. Mark, there's something I've been wanting to talk to you about. I squeezed her hand, feeling a hint of apprehension. What is it? She took a deep breath. I've been thinking about our future, and I want to start a family with you. The idea of having children had been something I'd thought about, but hearing Emily voice it made it feel real. I smiled, pulling her into a hug. I'd love that, Emily, more than anything. We spent the rest of the trip talking about our hopes and dreams for our future family. The excitement of starting this new chapter filled us both with a sense of purpose and happiness. Back home, we began preparing for this next step in our lives, turning our cozy apartment into a welcoming space for a future child. However, life had one more unexpected twist in store for us. Emily began feeling unwell, experiencing symptoms that couldn't be ignored. After several doctor visits and tests, we received news that rocked our world. Emily was diagnosed with a serious illness. The diagnosis was a blow, shattering our plans and dreams. But instead of succumbing to despair, we faced it together. Emily's strength and resilience were awe-inspiring. She approached her treatment with determination, and I vowed to support her every step of the way. Our lives shifted focus as we navigated this new challenge. The days were filled with doctor appointments, treatments, and moments of both hope and fear. Yet through it all, our love remained unwavering. We found solace in the little things, cooking meals together, watching sunsets, and sharing quiet moments of gratitude. One evening, as we sat on the balcony, Emily looked at me with tears in her eyes. I'm scared, Mark, but knowing you're here with me makes it a little easier. I held her close, my own emotions threatening to overwhelm me. We'll get through this together, Emily, one step at a time. Her treatment journey was long and arduous, but Emily's spirit never wavered. We found a new normal, one that revolved around her health and well-being. And despite the fear and uncertainty, we made sure to cherish every moment we had together. As the months passed, Emily's health began to improve. The treatments were working, and the doctors were optimistic. Our hope, once fragile, grew stronger with each passing day. We celebrated every small victory, knowing that each one brought us closer to a future filled with possibilities. 1 year after her diagnosis, Emily was declared in remission. The joy and relief we felt were indescribable. We had faced the darkest of times and emerged stronger, our love unbreakable. We decided to renew our vows in a small, intimate ceremony on the same beach where we had gotten engaged. Surrounded by close friends and family, we reaffirmed our commitment to each other, our vows infused with a deeper understanding of love and resilience. Emily, you are my heart, my soul, and my strength, I said, my voice filled with emotion. Together we've faced unimaginable challenges, and together we've overcome them. I promise to stand by you through every storm and every sunshine for the rest of our lives. Emily's eyes shone with tears as she took my hands. Mark, you are my rock, my constant, and my everything. I love you more than words can express, and I am grateful for every moment we share. I promise to love you, support you, and cherish you forever and always. As we exchanged rings once more, the sun set behind us, casting a golden glow over the ocean. It was a symbol of our journey, a journey of love, resilience, and hope. With Emily by my side, I knew that we could face anything. The past was a distant memory, and the future was a canvas waiting to be painted with new adventures and dreams. Our love story, once marked by betrayal and pain, had transformed into a testament of strength and unwavering devotion. Together, we were ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing that our love was the foundation upon which we would build our future. The years that followed were filled with joy and gratitude. Emily and I cherished every moment, our bond growing stronger with each passing day. The challenges we had faced had only deepened our love and commitment to one another. We continued to nurture our passions. Emily's photography business flourished, and she became known for her ability to capture the beauty and emotion in every moment. I found fulfillment in my work, driven by the happiness and stability that Emily brought into my life. A few years after Emily's remission, we decided to revisit the conversation about starting a family. The desire to share our love with a child was stronger than ever. After discussions with doctors, we decided to explore adoption, a decision that felt right for us given Emily's health history. The adoption process was a journey in itself, filled with anticipation and hope. We attended classes, filled out endless paperwork, and met with social workers. The wait was long, but we knew that the right child would come into our lives when the time was right. One day, we received a call that changed our lives forever. A baby girl had been born, and she needed a loving home. As we drove to the hospital, a mixture of excitement and nerves filled the car. Emily held my hand tightly, her eyes shining with tears of joy. When we arrived at the hospital and saw our daughter for the first time, it was love at first sight. She was perfect, with big, curious eyes and a tiny, delicate frame. We named her Grace, a testament to the grace that had carried us through our darkest times. Bringing Grace home was a surreal experience. The house that had once been filled with pain and betrayal was now filled with the sounds of new life and love. We spent countless nights rocking her to sleep, marveling at the miracle that she was. Parenthood was an adventure, filled with sleepless nights, endless diapers, and moments of pure, unadulterated joy. Grace became the center of our world, and watching her grow and learn brought a new dimension to our lives. As Grace grew older, Emily and I made it a point to share our love for adventure with her. We took her on trips, explored new places, and instilled in her a sense of curiosity and wonder. Her laughter was the soundtrack to our lives, a reminder of the beauty that could come from even the most difficult of journeys. One sunny afternoon, as we sat in the park watching Grace play, Emily turned to me with a contented smile. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" I nodded, wrapping an arm around her. "We have. And I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. We've built something beautiful together." Emily rested her head on my shoulder. "I'm so grateful for you, Mark, for everything we've been through, and for the love we share." I kissed the top of her head, feeling a deep sense of peace. "I'm grateful for you too, Emily. You've given me more than I ever thought possible." As we watched Grace run and laugh, her joy contagious, I realized that our story had come full circle. From the depths of betrayal and pain, we had risen stronger, our love a beacon of hope and resilience. The scars of the past were still there, but they no longer held power over us. We had faced them head-on and emerged victorious. Our love had been tested and proven unbreakable, and we were ready for whatever the future held. With Grace by our side and the strength of our love guiding us, we embraced each day with gratitude and excitement. The journey ahead was unknown, but we faced it with confidence, knowing that together we could overcome anything. As the sun set on that perfect day in the park, I felt a sense of fulfillment that I had never known before. Life was beautiful, and with Emily and Grace, it was more than I had ever dreamed possible. Our story, once marked by betrayal and heartache, had transformed into a testament of love, resilience, and the power of new beginnings. And as we looked toward the future, we knew that the best was yet to come.